Shalom. I hope you had a great Shavuot celebration. 3,333 years since we received the Torah on Mount Sinai. You internalized the Torah, enjoyed community, enjoyed the dairy dishes, and took a lesson for the rest of the year. Thank God we have a ceasefire in Israel. In the Holy Land, there's some peace and tranquility. We hope and pray to God that this quiet and this tranquility continues, and those who seek to destroy Israel should put down their weapons and embrace the fact that Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel, are strong. We've been here for 3,000 years. God is protecting us. Embrace it. Our daughter, Sarah, who you know is studying in Israel this year, went to the Kotel for Shavuot morning. Now, if anybody's been to Jerusalem on Shavuot, you know the great, amazing ritual of walking to the Kotel after a whole night study. Thousands of people come from all sides and walk to the holy site of our temple, to the outside of a temple, and get there as day breaks after a whole night of study. And we received the Torah, hear the Ten Commandments, watch the sun rise, and then have a dairy meal. It's an incredible scene. Unfortunately, this year, they asked that no one come from the outside of the old city because of the unrest and because of the things that are happening in the Holy Land and particularly in the Holy City. So only those who were actually in the old city were able to go to the Kotel. And we're fortunate that our daughter Sarah was very happy that her school took them from Tzfat, brought them to the old city. They prayed there. They walked to the Kotel in the morning. It was a much smaller crowd than expected, of course. And it was a little damp and a little bit not so exciting as it usually is, but the fact that she was able to get closer to the Kotel and hear the prayers and pray there was very meaningful for her. Unfortunately, these 11 days of war, while Israel and our people were defending themselves and trying to destroy the infrastructure of terror that goes on in Gaza, the world was pointing fingers at Israel, as if to say that you don't have a right to defend yourself. You should not be fighting back. You should put down your arms and allow, unfortunately, them to do whatever they want to do. Unfortunately, anti-Semitism is rampant now. There's been many stories in New York, in Chicago, and other places. What should we do? Is there any way of quietly hiding out and waiting for this to subside and being quiet and not to raise the ire of those who seek to destroy us? This week's Torah reading, tomorrow, we'll be reading the Torah reading called Naso. Naso means to count. Moses is told to once again count the Levites. Now, if you recall, if you've been reading, last week Torah reading was about counting. This week's Torah reading is about counting. And later on, we're going to have some more counting. In fact, the whole book of Bamidbar, the book in the Torah, the fourth book, is called the Book of Numbers because it's all about numbers. It's a lot about counting. What's the significance of counting? Why should we be counted? Why again and again? Count them this way, count them that way, count them as they encamp, count them individually, count them as a tribe, count them as groups of 3 tribes, count the Levites when they're a month old, count the Levites when they're 30 years old, count the firstborn, many different types of ways of counting and taking census. And some things is repetitive because they don't really recount them again, they just recount or relist the numbers again. So the word Naso, which means to count, also means, or more specifically, literally means to uplift. Naso at Rosh, lift up their heads. Moses is told by God, uplift the Jewish people, uplift the Levites. And how are we going to uplift them? By counting them. Because when you count something, it shows how much you love it. You keep counting again how much money you have. Anything good that we have, you take it out and just count it to show that we like it. And God wants to count, is counting us also in order to show how much He loves us. Counting makes us important, that we don't get lost within everything else. This count that Moses did in the desert, that God asked Moses to do of the Jewish people, is what's keeping us going for 3,000 years. And we have to uplift our heads and stand strong and stand proud. Be proud of our people. Be proud of the Israeli army who did a fabulous job to do precision-guided, precision attacks, minimizing the casualties, unlike their enemies who try to destroy them and are sending missiles and rockets into populated civilian areas. Thank God, God is protecting us and we are safe. We should hold our heads strong, stand up and be Jewish, because hiding is not going to help us. Standing strong, standing proud is what the world wants of us. When we stand proud, we stand strong, they respect us even more. Naso es Rosh. Lift up your head. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow in Shul. Tomorrow, Saturday morning, 9:30, we study Kabbalah of the Torah reading, 10 o'clock services. Have a wonderful Shabbat, peace and tranquility. Shalom.